I think it's time for me to start reading Wicked, courtesy of the library on Overdrive, right? I want to start reading it because I'm sure I've probably gotten down a couple days in my 21-day borrow period. So let me start doing that. Just going to be popping in here and there to give my reactions as I read along. All right. So, 750 pages, not the worst. About the same as uh, The Dark Forest, which I'm still in the middle of reading. But I've got to say on top of this, I'm just worried. Worried that this might be a lot to go back and forth on in terms of like terminology and characters, and hopefully we'll have a character reference page, and I'm bookmarking a bunch of the pages as I go through. Um, yeah, that's my one concern. I've seen a mutual on Reels, not Reels, on Threads, say that like they DNF'd it because it was too much follow along. I'm gonna read this regardless. I'm determined, and I feel like I can read things that are like confusing. It might be annoying, but I don't think it will because I feel like it's going to be a good book, or at least a wild book, and thereby at least entertaining. So, I just got to the map. I just got to the map. I just got to the map, and I'm already going to give myself the best hand I can. Excuse me, I already did. I opened an enlarged version of the map in a new tab. I'm not struggling to go back and reference. I will have to keep the tab open, and that will be annoying. And I should probably let me bring this stool over here because I have my laptop on it, but my laptop, this Asus laptop, works best with a mouse attached. And then part of me was wondering, I'm like, should I have read? Because I've never read the Wizard of Oz, the original Wizard of Oz, in terms of like the Wizard of Oz and all the related original books. And maybe after I read this, I will read that. Kind of not interested, but maybe. Um, so let me just ignore that and go into this with as open of a mind as I can. Yeah, yeah. I grew up frequently going to Times Square because I went to school in Manhattan, and so I was always passing the theater where the Wicked show was, the original Wicked run. Um, and so I should have in mind, among others, Indina Menzel. But no, I have I have Cynthia Erivo in my head as I'm reading this. Maybe like a different version of her, but generally Cynthia Erivo. Um, so one, two, I really like her because they're really making her out to be with all this suppositions and gossip, like the worst person. What do they say? She is one of the negatives. One of the would be rumors is that I hear she's a champion of home rule for the so-called Winkies. So self-determination, the right to govern self. Clearly, she's not the villain. End of story. Moving on. I don't know how far I will read today. I've just finished the prologue. Um, I have to remember that this is not the musical. However, I might see Cynthia Erivo or some image based on her portrayal, but from what I've understood of people who've read the book, talking about the book online, the book is hella. Excuse me. The musical is hella sanitized compared to the book, right? The book and the musical are not the same. They are not twins. They're, you know, so I've got to keep that in mind. I hate Frex. Frex is his name. Frex. Very annoying. Wonderfully crafted personage of a overly fervent, overly religious personage. Um, this bitch really said he abased himself with the names of his congregation. What are you even talking about? What? And they owed him? Where does it say? He was their minister. He had pulled their teeth and buried their babies and blessed their kitchen pots for years now. He had abased himself in their names. Bitch, what are you talking about? Abasing yourself. And then he says, he had sacrificed for them. They couldn't be swayed by this time dragon creature. They owed him. I hate you already. Now, I don't. Can I speculate? Is that spoilers at this point? I'm gonna speculate. Skip ahead. Does he become Oz? I don't want answers, obviously. I'm just speculating so I can, Is he become Oz? Is his wife Melina gonna give birth to uh um Alphaba, or is this some other character? Are these Glinda's parents? It's very much giving conservative. But then, like, why would Glinda be the daughter of a minister? Like, okay, I don't know if I'm gonna read like this part one, or I'm gonna read to like 750. Excuse me, 75, or whatever the next break is after 75. Like that would be a tenth, right? So I don't know. I don't know yet. I'm thinking I'm just gonna read part one. I think I'm like the way they broke up part one. Next up is the birth of a witch. That might be the end of part one. We'll see. Also, I know from the people who were talking about who got me on board with reading Wicked, because they were like, it's so wild, it's so wild. So I knew that there was like some, either it's like throughout, I think throughout, just like random sexual type scenes, um, or innuendo type scenes, whatever. But this whole first scene with the dragon and the widow and the faithful, devoted but faithful husband. What is it? Oh, an attentive husband. Girl, what? What is this? I'm in fact sorely mistaken. The Birth of a Witch is three sub chapters of the first part. There are 8 chapters. So I did say I guess I'll read. I guess we'll see if I decide to go to 75 or finish part one. I feel like I should finish part one. I just don't read super fast. So I'm eating my white corn chips here and I'm reading. And so I guess the dragon is just, you know, telling the truth, it seems like, which to me seems to track with his attitude, right? Like he abased himself with these people, he said, before all this happened. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was the case, but at the same time, let's not kill him. I'm not sure what the goal at this point. Who is operating this device? Who benefits? Eject him from town. We'll see if they kill him or kill his wife. I don't know. I'm sorry. Are these all Munchkins? Look at the map. It says Munchkinland. I feel like outside of like hair, we haven't had super much description. I also feel like I also tend to gloss over a lot of descriptions. So anyway, these people are wild. These people are wild. On the one hand, obviously portrayals in literature of like the different classes. So we have the arrogant upper class. At this point, essentially cosplaying amongst the poor, living amongst the poor, gentrifying. I don't know. We have the upper class, and okay, they have their wares, whatever. But must we have the unscrupulous poor class literally stealing from her as she's birthing, as she's on death's door? You're rummaging her stuff, really? Wildness. On the other hand, you're literally being attended to, and the women don't like you. You know this. Apparently, there's a little tension between you and the local women, probably because you think you're better than them, as evidenced by your internal monologue. And if the peasants find Frex, so the women who are attending you are the peasants, and you're not one of the peasants, but you need them to attend to you, because like you said, you don't know basic things about your body and pregnancy and whatnot. But the peasants, truly the worst people in this book are these women gathered around contemplating whether or not they should kill this infant child. Weren't you over here 5 seconds ago talking about, oh, our reputations? We can't just leave her to die because of the crowd. We can't just leave her to the crowd. And then you did all this work, and now you're just like, let's just kill her child. She won't know. What in the world? And you fishwife bitch, that's what you get. That's what you get. That's what you get. So we've just finished that chapter of the child's birth. And now for the montage and probably persisting, everlasting um, themes of child abuse and emotional abuse. Yay! Excuse me for having the decency to be offended at the notion of drowning a child willy nilly. Excuse me for being offended at the notion that the midwives were suggesting that when the mother does herself. Forget it. Never mind. Never mind. All right. The Quaddling Glassblower. I've read 4 of the 8 chapters of part 1. Um, Granted, part 1 starts at like page within the ebook, page like 16 or 17. 75 pages from there is like 80 something, 90 something. So I'm probably just gonna try and finish part 1. But let me finish part 1. Let me finish reading these next 4 chapters. Hopefully they go fast. Yes. I've tried. I'm trying. I can see as I record myself the red glossy in my eyes. I don't think I'm gonna make it all the way to part 1. I'm sat here reading, falling asleep. I'm gonna try and finish this chapter. I think this is the 6th one. Yeah. All right. I'm calling it quit as a child's play. This is 87, 88 of 750. So if let's see, it's still not gonna be 75 plus whatever, but at least we're a tenth of the way in. Okay. I didn't read one whole portion of the book, but from what I've read, I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. I'm in it. I like this. I'm liking it so far. So, where will we go? Yes. Anyway, thanks for watching. On the one hand, for the last few years, I've been like, I need a chair, like a long chaise type chair I could just sit in and nap in during the day. I don't know that that would work because if I was like to read a book, I would probably just be falling asleep all the time. But one can dream. Anyway, thanks for watching. Stick around, I guess. Yeah.